behalf of International Lawyers for West Papua, we're very happy to welcome you. And we welcome you from all over the world. We have people with us from Papua New Guinea, from the Netherlands, from Germany, from Australia, and hopefully there are lots of people watching all over the world because this is being streamed online. We have been enormously excited by the amount of international attention that this conference has attracted, and we think that it's a significant marker of the prominence that West Papua is beginning to have. We've got a very long way to go, but we're getting there. 9 years ago, I arrived in West Papua. The task that I had was to help the defense team that was instructed on behalf of Benny Wenda, who most of you know, who sits here on my left. Benny was facing plainly political charges which had been leveled against him by the Indonesian government. I was absolutely no use whatever to him. As you may or may not know, he managed to escape from prison, and perhaps you'll hear something of his story this afternoon. I wasn't naive enough at the time to think that due process was going to be applied to that trial, but I did think, naively, that the rights and legal wrongs of the West Papuan situation being so obvious that it would be possible to make the inequities which face West Papuan people plain on the international stage. About that, I was completely wrong. West Papua is the forgotten conflict. You'll hear this afternoon that the legal case for the self-determination of West Papua is blindingly obvious. There's really not a lot of convoluted law which you're going to hear this afternoon. We have repeatedly challenged Indonesia to set out its legal case for its continued occupation of West Papua. It has failed to do so, and it's failed to do so because there is no answer. We continue to extend that invitation. One of the deeply depressing things about the West Papuan situation is the blind eye which has been cynically turned to West Papua by the international community. Anyone who's interested in the rule of law generally, whether or not they've got a particular connection with or interest in West Papua, ought to be deeply concerned about the way that the international community, including almost all of our Western governments, has repeatedly refused to do anything significant to acknowledge the injustice of Indonesia's occupation. It would be unkind and inaccurate if any lawyer were to suggest to the West Papuan people that there's an easy legal solution. If anyone thinks that we can just trot along to the International Court of Justice and seek a declaration that Indonesia's presence there is unlawful, we're sorry to disappoint you. For reasons which you will hear about this afternoon, that's not going to be possible. There needs to be a significant political head of steam before anything like that can happen. No one has done more to get that political head of steam going than Andrew Smith, who's going to chair this first session. Andrew Smith, thank you very much.
And it's a pleasure for me to bring greetings from the International Parliamentarians for West Papua, which is gaining the support of more and more democratic representatives worldwide for justice for the West Papuan people. And we've been active in the UK Parliament, as you've heard, and just this month I've raised parliamentary questions in the Commons, and Lord Richard Harries, who's a great supporter, has done so in the Lords. And together with Caroline Lucas MP, we had a very helpful meeting with the West Papua campaign a couple of months ago, and we've recruited more supporters for the all-party group on West Papua, and it means that we will be able to reconstitute the parliamentary group when Parliament resumes in September, and to raise the profile, which all of us in our various capacities need all the time to be doing. Now, in these brief remarks, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Benny, the West Papua campaign, the lawyers for West Papua, but also especially those who are campaigning bravely and in the face of intimidation and repression for their rights within West Papua itself. Whilst we are supporters, international advocates, and will do what we can to help, it is important to underline and stress this campaign belongs to West Papuans as surely as does the future of West Papua itself. And I will conclude this brief introduction by repeating the words of the West Papua Declaration, which is signed by the international parliamentarians. We, the undersigned, recognise the inalienable right of the indigenous people of West Papua to self-determination, which was violated in the 1969 Act of Free Choice, and call upon our governments through the United Nations to put in place arrangements for the free exercise of that right, so that the indigenous people of West Papua can decide democratically their own future in accordance with international standards of human rights, the principles of international law, and the Charter of the United Nations. That's what it's about, the people of West Papua democratically determining their own future. I wish you a very successful conference today, and it's my great pleasure to introduce as our first speaker, independence leader, and very welcome here in Oxford as an expatriate, Benny Wenda.